Hey Corey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Uh, yeah, I just wanted to see. I know you talked to the Red Sox, kind of a few times in the past. Kind of what led to it? What led to a deal getting done this time?
I think just we were able to kind of get across the finish line in a line, to where it satisfied both sides of it. I think that the last couple of years prior, I guess, we had a lot of good conversations, and I think they got to know me, and I got to know some people in the organization, and thankfully, we finally were able to get something done this year.
Right, just how much of a factor? Obviously, we know you're live in Winchester and have kind of the tie here with your wife, but just how much was that was a factor in sort of coming here and signing here?
Um, I mean, it's definitely a bonus. Last year being in Tampa, and we lived down here in Tampa during the school year, so that was a nice convenience. And then now to have that in the summertime up there, it'll be fun. I think that I really enjoy that area in the summertime. I feel like it's a hard spot to beat that time of year. Fenway is probably my favorite ballpark in the league. Just the history of it and the environment there and everything. So, yeah, I wouldn't say that it was a determining factor, but I think it's an added bonus to everything.
Or when you look at this team, what kind of jumps out at you? What type of a club do you think that this group can be?
I've the last couple of years obviously played against them a lot, so I feel like from that standpoint, I think it's a constant that they're gonna, the Red Sox are going to be a team that's going to fight, from the first pitch to the last, and I think that I know I've had a lot of tough battles with them. That there's some games you go into and it's going to be a battle, it's going to be a grind, and I've had my fair share of those with them, not just the last couple of years, but throughout my career. It's a team that I'm excited to be a part of instead of have to face.
Corey, I know last year was your healthiest year physically in a while. How do you feel coming out of that year, and how confident are you that you can even build on that this next year?
I feel really good. I think that everybody has to change some things within their routine throughout the course of their career. The longer it goes, the more you probably have to change. I think I had to adjust some things last year routine wise in between starts. And I think that we figured out a pretty good formula that I feel confident in moving forward. And so, my expectation would be, to stay healthy and more of the same like that.
Corey, you had
a
couple of tough years with injuries toward the end of your time in Cleveland and then your year in Texas. How have you evolved as a pitcher in terms of your stuff and what you rely on to get hitters out? How are you different now from 6-7 years ago?
I mean, obviously the velocity isn't what it was 6-7 years ago, but I think to counteract that, I think I'm a smarter pitcher maybe than I was then. Without having the ability to rely on quote unquote stuff as much. I think that there's other tools that you can use, besides just that. And I think I've learned better how to game plan, how to make in-game adjustments, minute-bat adjustments. I think some of that is coming from guys I played with. Some of it is experience that I've had myself on the mound. So there's some things that as you age, most people diminish in certain areas, but I think you can also gain in others as well.
Corey, you mentioned your routine. Just what is it about your routine that I guess you change now versus earlier in your career when you were younger?
I guess the simplest way that I would probably sum it up would be when I was younger, it was, work all the time. The 4 days in between starts were constantly, in the weight room, running, all that kind of stuff. And I still do that. I think it's just the focus of that maybe has shifted more towards prioritizing recovery. not continually beating myself in the ground, just because, you know, as you get older, it does become tougher to recover. So trying to put more of an emphasis on the recovery aspect of it, because I think that you know, my belief is that if I can stay healthy and be out on the mound, then I think that I have the ability to help the team win. But if I'm injured, then obviously that's no good.
Looking at the Red Sox rotation next year, I mean, what have you seen from Garrett Whitlock, Tanner Houck, and obviously, you know, there is a lot of health reliance when it comes to this group with Sale and also James Paxton. How do you see the group?
I think it's a very talented group. You know, I think that those younger guys that you mentioned, having the chance to see in the last couple of years, you know, their stuff really jumps out at you. You know, you hear hitters on the other side after facing them talk about, you know, how tough and bat it is, things like that. Obviously everybody knows when healthy, how tough and bat Chris and James are. So, you know, I think that, you know, I'm excited to get to spring training and get going with the group.
Having been in the division the last couple of years, do you feel it's advantage you or hitters when there's, you know, common knowledge about one another?
I don't know. I think you could probably make the argument both ways. I think that nowadays, especially with all the information that everybody has, I know there is a different aspect of, you know, firsthand facing a guy, whether it be pitching or hitting. But I do think that some of that familiarity stuff maybe is, you know, I think that if I was to go face somebody in the NL West, they could still get a pretty good familiarity with me based on what they can get scouting wise, game plan wise, that kind of stuff. So I feel like it works both ways again. So I don't know if I believe wholeheartedly one way or the other.